Hi guys, welcome back to Woman to Woman.
This is Leticia and my host Imani, and we're here speaking to you guys today about
Closure.
yes. So as you know, our series have been basically about getting to know yourself, about the next step, about how to encourage yourself. And I feel like we definitely need to speak on behalf of closure and how to get closure. And different situations require different type of closures. We're gonna go ahead and talk today about our closures and what they did for us and what's the outcome of the closure that we gain.
So definitely, like Leticia said, we just want to emphasize closure and emphasize how you can get that closure from within. I think that there's a misconception about closure, as well as with a lot of things involving self-motivation and self-evolving. So with closure, I'm just going to use the example of relationships. So closure in relationships, a lot of people, say you go through a breakup or something and you're constantly wanting to reach out to that significant other for some type of, just guidance to help you move on. And I don't think a lot of people are aware that assurance that you're looking for from somebody else comes from yourself, and that validation that you're always looking for is something that you can find within yourself. And I mean, I know it sounds like it's a really hard task, and it's taken me a long time to kind of learn how to do this myself, but it really is just time, and like taking the time to be like a lot more present in your situations and with your emotions, and just basically trying to figure it out on your own. And that kind of sounds like it's a little bit like depressing almost like, oh, I have to figure it out by myself, but they are the ones who did this to me, so they deserve to give me this closure. But it really is you that is looking for the closure. So, I mean, it's not anything that person could really do besides reassure you that that's something that they've done to you, like acknowledge that hurt. I think that's what a lot of people are always looking for, is like just acknowledgement. Like, I just want to be seen. I just want to be heard. I just want you to know what you've done to me. And it's like, it's kind of like a selfish thing, honestly, where we're kind of just wanting people to feel bad for us. But you can find that closure within yourself, like to actually be able to move on.
What she was saying about filing validation about of what they did to you, and for them just to tell you and reassure you, yeah, like I did this to you. Really, it's not really on them for them to give you that closure. It's for yourself, because at the end of the day, yes, you will get closure, but if they don't give you that, you still need that closure, whether you find it and and talking to them and telling them like, okay, like this is it, like I will no longer go back to you. But it's funny though, because I actually experienced this not too long ago. And basically I was looking for validation on them to know that they messed up, and I went to a whole different state to go see them, and yet they didn't even feel the need to show up when they knew that I was going to go there. So that to me, it was a closure. Granted, I had already knew that this person was not going to show up, so my expectations for that was very low, but it had just reassured myself, okay, like, yeah, this person didn't show up, but why? And even if the why was a negative why, I'm just happy I did that, because at the end of the day, it just gave me validation that I am too valuable of a person for me to get back with that person, and for me to spend any more time thinking and dwelling, and if I was crying over that person. So for me, I was glad that I had went. And yeah, I did have to spend money, and I had done so much extra stuff for them, but the fact that I went there, I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew that my expectations for that person was very low, and sure enough, they didn't show up for me. I was like that's good. Like, I'm glad they didn't, because sometimes you expect a person, well, you don't expect them, but you're hoping for the person to show up for yourself, and they don't. And that's just good, because at the end of the day, what if that person would have showed up? What if you would have gained back, to that relationship that you were with, and it's all negative? Like, sometimes things do happen for a reason, and you just gotta know when to put a stop to it and just be like, okay, this is my closure. We're no longer gonna go back to this. And it was what it was. Like, you just have to make sure that you're able to acknowledge that. And if they don't show up, or they do show up, you just have to make sure that you are able to fully close that chapter in your life and just move on to the next chapter. And sometimes it's not necessarily with a partner. It could be with with your friend, a best friend who you never thought that would do you wrong. And that's just really for you to take in, because at the end of the day, if that was your best friend, obviously that was a person who you brought into your family, to your home, a person who you didn't see as a best friend, a person who you saw as a sister, as a brother. And it's up to you to know if their mistake was really a big mistake and that you're not able to forgive, or if you are able to forgive, but you just have to make sure that you are able to close that chapter and let the past be the past. And if you want to move on, then great, but you just have to make sure that you are able to, for both of y'all, not just you, but for both of y'all, to get that closure. Because once you move on, you're gonna move on, and it's gonna be like a new chapter, a new life. And obviously it's gonna be hard for you for them to gain your trust back, or whatever it might be. But again, if you want to start fresh, you have to definitely get a closure. So yeah.
I mean, I really like that you said you were kind of had this expectation of the person that you were going to meet, but then they didn't show up. So you felt like that was your closure. And I feel like a lot of people aren't able to recognize that, like, when things don't go a certain way, or like as you expect them to go in your head, like, you can use those experiences as your closure. And I feel like people just are like, okay, well, it didn't happen this way, so I need to try again, and like I need to do this, and I need to do that. And it's like you're putting in all of this effort to kind of get validation from someone else, when it's like you have already, like, you know who these people are. They've shown you who they are already, even by just not showing up. They show you their true colors. They show you, how much they value you, or they value that relationship. And it's like you can't expect anything else from them than what they have already shown you. And I think that that's so important to recognize, that you can really learn so much from just experiences that don't go the way you want them to go. Because like you said, it's always the one relationship where you're putting in like the most amount of effort, and you have the least amount of expectations, and still you can't find the closure. And then you kind of look back on those experiences and are like, wow, I have really just grown so much from that, and I have learned so much from that, and I did find my own closure. Because look at me now, like I'm thriving, I'm moved on from that. Like, I would never go back to that. And it's like, it's going back that really sets you back. And I feel like it's a lot of self-practice that you just have to learn along the way, and definitely takes a lot of patience with yourself and with other people, especially with friends. I feel like friendships are the hardest, because when you break up with people, like relationship wise, or like a romantic relationship, I feel like you can just be like, oh, I hate this person, and like, kind of remove them from your life. But I feel like with friendships, it's so much harder, because it's like they're not your romantic partner, but you still kind of have like that kind of relationship bond with them. And it's like you don't really know where to go now with the friendship, because you don't want to like let that go because of so many years of just bond. But I think with friendships, it's kind of always like a revolving door, and I think they're the hardest to let go of and find closure from. But I think also just giving each other that space to just recognize on both ends where there can be improvement, and where you guys went wrong, or do we even need to be friends? Like, is this working for the both of us? I think that that's important, just to give each other space to kind of find where work can be done. Because I mean, friendships, they're tricky. I feel like they're the most trickiest of relationships is friendships. And I mean, parent dynamics, I mean, you have to be with your parents because they're your parents, but I think friendships, because they're optional, are the hardest.
Yeah, and one thing that Imani said that I feel like is very key for closure is space. Space, at least for me, is everything. You just have to know how to give yourself space. You have to know how to give the other person space, whether they messed up, whether you messed up, whatever the dynamic of the situation had caused the issue, is space. Because you just have to know how to remove yourself from that friendship, from that business, from that home, whatever it might be. And removing yourself from that means space. And it doesn't mean like, oh, okay, well, how much time, should I give them for the space? It's gonna be, if you're the one who messed up, they're gonna come back. And if they don't, then, at least you tried your best, and that is your closure. You trying your best, you giving them space. But if it was the other way around, where they messed up and they hurt you, you just have to give yourself space and realize, okay, I am ready to move on and, be friends with this person or get back with this person, or you know what, I am ready to move on. And I realize my worth. I realize the value that this person had in our friendship, in our relationship. And I just realized that I'm too valuable of a person, as a human, to let them do this to me. Therefore, I will not engage with this person anymore. That is because of space. Space will give you closure. Space will give you everything you are looking for. You just have to know how to get space, because it is so hard for you to detach as a human from a person who you love, from a person who you thought was your everything, from a person who you shared many memories with, who, that was your best friend, that was your friend for so many years. So it's definitely really hard, but it's always going to be a positive thing. Even though the outcome was negative, it's a positive, and you have to see it as a positive, because you are gaining experience, you are gaining knowledge, you are gaining to love yourself, and most importantly, you are gaining how to, remove yourself from a situation and being able to fully give yourself that closure. Because the thing is, if you don't give yourself that closure, and you believe that you are ready to move on, but yet you still have that hatred, or you still have that hurt, you haven't really had that closure within yourself, which means that in the near future, or in the future, you're going to go ahead and meet somebody, you're going to go ahead and have that friendship again. But yet, because of this thing that happened, you're not, you don't really, yourself as a partner, as a friend, as a sister, whatever it might be, won't fully be there, present, because you're still dwelling on that past of that closure. And obviously, whenever closure happens, you're changing, you're evolving, but you have to make sure that you're evolving and changing to a better you, a better person, that okay, what, next time I'm not gonna let this happen, and this is what I'm gonna go ahead and take those steps, but I'm still gonna give them my all.
I really think that space is so key, because it just allows you to kind of remove yourself, like you said, detach yourself from that person, from those emotions, from the feelings that you had from before, and because they do transfer. And I feel like if you jump into something too quickly, with somebody else or something else, you kind of just carry those emotions with you, like if you don't find that closure from within. So I feel like giving yourself space and giving yourself time is really important. And the way that you do that is by finding new hobbies and finding, things that you actually enjoyed doing at one point, and, falling in love with those things again, falling back in love with yourself, taking yourself out on dates, kind of like we talked about in our previous podcast, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and, being okay with being alone sometimes and doing things for yourself, because those little hobbies or those little times that you have with yourself, having, just time with yourself is so important, because you can actually see like, wow, I have grown as a person, or wow, I really did enjoy doing this at one time, even though like I maybe enjoy doing it with another person, because obviously when you share experiences with someone, it's obviously going to be a lot better than sharing it, by yourself, because it's like, oh, I have that memory now with another person. But still, it's still the same action. It's nothing's changing. It's just that you're with someone else. And as humans, we like to be with people, and that's just the human, way. That's how we work as people. But just making sure that you're finding things that can distract you, not in a negative way, but like that you enjoy doing. So like go swimming, or read a book, watch a YouTube video, listen to this podcast, things like that, that'll keep you focused on yourself rather than on that relationship or that person, is really important to do. And I feel like a lot of people don't take that time, and that's how they end up going back, or just so stuck in this kind of cycle of, I have to get back to this person. I need to know what they think. I need to know like if they know what they've done or whatever. So it's so important to give yourself that space and give yourself that time for yourself, so you can see that you are powerful and you do have the power to control those emotions and that closure aspect of your life. So don't rely on other people to give you that closure, because at the end of the day, that's not how it works. And even though you might think that you need that person to give it to you, or that you need to, see them one more time, or I need to just hear their voice one more time, or I need them to just acknowledge, like, there's other people that can do that for you. More positive people in your life that can bring you that happiness and bring you that closure, or bring you to the closure that you're looking for. And I think that that's the best way to go about it. So make sure that you guys are definitely finding new hobbies, pursuing things that you love, doing things that make you happy, and are finding that closure for yourselves.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, because we have been talking about closure, but how do you get it? And obviously, how she said, finding new hobbies, going back to your old hobbies, even trying new things that, you might not like, but hey, you don't know if you like it until you try it. So why not just give it a try? And what gave me closure, obviously, besides not seeing this person, was also me removing myself from the situation and just going to a peaceful place. And that place for me is, was the beach. And I also, wrote down how I felt, what happened. And even though I didn't speak to somebody, it just felt nice, my feelings to get away, and just for them to be written down, and just for me to feel like somebody was listening, even though somebody wasn't. But just writing things down for me helps so much. So maybe, writing things for you as well, or going to the beach, or, like she said, make sure that whatever you're needing the closure from, that it's going to go ahead and provide you that positive outcome. Because at the end of the day, closure is always good, but it just depends on who you surround yourself with, that is going to become that closure into a great outcome. And obviously that outcome is not able to go ahead and proceed if you're surrounding yourself by negative things, or if you just find that closure within drinking and stuff like that. So we definitely hope that all our series has helped you and will help you in the long run, to whatever tragedy or whatever heartbreak or whatever hard thing you're going through. It's always good to know that there's other people who've been through it, and there's always also that your situation, yeah, it hurt you, it put your heart into little shatters, and you feel like you're not able to glue it back together, but within time you are. And just know that there's other people who have been hurt worse than you, and they are able to get back on their feet. They are able to pursue great things, and they are doing great things. It is easy to say, oh yeah, like somebody, was worse than you. It's very easy. But at the same time, just know that it's true. Somebody's always going through a harder time than you. And you are blessed to be alive. You're blessed to, have the simple things that we take for granted, like having a house, having water, having food, just the essential things that we should be grateful for. So just always remember that somebody's closure is harder than yours, but they are able to get through it, and they are. And just get back to whatever it is that you love doing, whatever you believe that is gonna benefit you in the long run, and never take a negative situation and turn it into a negative situation. Take that negative situation and turn it into a positive one, because you will have a positive outcome. You just have to make sure that your outlook in life is positive. Life is negative, and it will forever be negative, but you just have to make sure that you're able to see that negative and get that experience and put it into a great outcome.
No, for sure. I wanted to add to that, because I feel like turning positives into positives and negatives into positives is the best way to look at life, because there's a lot of negatives in life. So we definitely need to make sure that we're staying positive and practicing gratitude, and making sure that, we're surrounding ourselves with people who are that way, who are constantly uplifting you rather than bringing you down, and can, help you get out of that space of, oh, I feel so bad, like just kind of out of that victim mentality. We want to make sure that we're surrounded by positivity. And even though sometimes, the world may seem like it's so negative, like Leticia said, there's other people who are going through things that you may not even know about. So you should never feel like you're alone. Make sure that you're reaching out to people so you can just hear their stories, like you're hearing our story. We don't have the simplest life at all times. Everybody goes through struggles. So never feel like you're alone, and never feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, because we're so connected now. You can literally reach out to anyone and they can tell you their story, and you can just realize, wow, there's so many other people, and there's so many other things that are going on in this world that are, that make my situation seem so small, and there's just like bigger things to worry about than, oh my goodness, this one person. There's so many people in the world, and we are important, and we're the most important person in our life. But if you start to focus on just how beautiful and amazing life really is, I think that you'll be okay. And with that being said, we want to thank you guys so much for listening to us and for supporting us and kind of being on this journey with us, because I really enjoyed making this podcast for you all, and I enjoy sitting down and talking about these topics. So if you guys want us to talk about anything else, just leave us a comment and we will, continue with our podcast. But for now, this is one of our last podcasts together. So we want to thank you. Thank you, Leticia, for being a great podcast partner, a great co-host, great host. You're amazing. And you guys are all amazing.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us every week. And we definitely hope that our experiences, what we've been through, can definitely help you and have helped you in a way that it's a good outcome for you. And we want to thank you so much for listening to us and giving us that platform to hear us out. And thank you so much, Imani, for accepting being my partner for this. We hope that you enjoy this. And like she said, if you have any other topics that you want us to talk about, go ahead and just leave us a comment. And we hope you have yourself a wonderful life. And share your experiences. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.